It was a calm Sunday morning in Brooklyn when the world was rocked by a simple notification. Phones buzzed, social media exploded, and YouTube channels lit up as the live broadcast began. From Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, came a message, one that was raw, unfiltered, and deeply emotional. It was from Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young revolutionary leader who had defied the odds, taking control of Burkina Faso and challenging the colonial forces of France. But this wasn't just any speech, it was a personal address, and it wasn't aimed at Africa alone. I speak to all my African brothers and sisters across the Atlantic, those in the United States, the Caribbean, Brazil, and beyond, he began, his voice steady, his expression fierce. The camera zoomed in on his face. Traoré, dressed in his familiar fatigues, was surrounded not by luxuries, but by artifacts that told the story of Africa's forgotten heroes, maps from Africa's pre-colonial days and portraits of leaders like Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and Malcolm X. For the next 40 minutes, Traoré's words would resonate deeply within black communities worldwide. He began by acknowledging the scars of slavery and colonialism, those that had torn apart the African soul and fragmented the descendants of the enslaved. You were taken by force, he said, sold like cattle, separated from your mothers, your languages, your gods. But do not believe for a second that we have forgotten you. Africa may have been silent, but Africa did not forget. He addressed the pain of a history, twisted to suggest that Africa had sold its own. Most of Africa resisted the slave trade, he emphasized. That betrayal was orchestrated by European guns, missionaries, and divide-and-rule tactics. Traoré then reminded them of the resilience that had endured through the years. Though they erased your names, your languages, and your culture, the rhythm of your walk, the drumbeat of your heart, is still Africa speaking. As his words sank in, the reactions were powerful. In barbershops in Chicago, the music stopped. In Atlanta, elders clutched their beads. In Harlem, activists stopped in their tracks, hearing something sacred stirring once more. This wasn't just about the past, though. I didn't come to talk about the chains, Traoré said. We all know the chains. I came to tell you that the chains are breaking again, and I want you to be part of it. He outlined how Burkina Faso, along with other nations in the Sahel, was standing up to French neocolonialism, reclaiming their gold, their land, their dignity. They fear me not because I hold power, but because I remind them of Sankara. They fear you not because you riot, but because of what would happen if you and I stood side by side. Then came an announcement that would change everything. Traoré declared that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger were launching a diaspora citizenship program. All descendants of enslaved Africans would be granted fast-track citizenship, investment opportunities, and land access in select areas revitalized by the military-led revolution. If you feel homeless in America, know that you are not homeless, you are landless, and land can be given back. He spoke directly to those who needed the message most, to the young man in Oakland who wonders why the police treat him like prey. Come and walk without fear. To the woman in New Orleans teaching her children about black history. Come and walk the same ground where our ancestors prayed before the ships arrived. To the rapper in Atlanta, help us build studios and shape the narrative from the motherland. And to the grandmother in Detroit, who still carries the stories of lynching, your strength is sacred to us. We honor it. Traoré didn't stop there. He called on celebrities not with demands, but with hope. Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Kendrick, Rihanna, Oprah, your power means more here than there. Your presence can move mountains. Let us build together. He unveiled the new initiative, Operation Sanka. Go back and fetch it from the Akan proverb. It was a call to reconnect with the land, the roots, the culture. Under this plan, African nations that were breaking free from Western control would unite to build a Pan-African development corridor for black returnees, healthcare workers, farmers, engineers, teachers and artists. He made it clear that this was not about charity, but about building together. "We don't need saviors," he said. "We need builders. You are not foreigners here. You are fragments returning to the mosaic of Africa." Of course, he didn't sugarcoat the reality. Africa is not paradise. We have poverty, we have corruption, we have wounds, he acknowledged. But we also have you, and that changes everything. When the broadcast ended, the silence was palpable. In a small apartment in Chicago, 26-year-old teacher Malik sat motionless, tears streaming down his face. In Atlanta, retired Vietnam veteran Uncle Joe whispered, "It's about time." In Washington, D.C., college student Amina began drafting a blog titled "My Letter to Ibrahim Traoré." While mainstream media outlets like CNN and the BBC downplayed the broadcast, labeling it as symbolic rhetoric, social media exploded. Questions arose. Was this real? Could it be a trap? Or was it the moment many had been waiting for their entire lives? Just days later, the attacks began. Western media labeled Traoré as a radical, a militant populist, leaked documents, accused him of destabilizing the region. Economic sanctions tightened, but Traoré remained unfazed. "Let them come," he said. "We are not afraid of sanctions. We survived colonialism. We survived coups. And we will survive this because, for the first time, we are not alone. Our brothers and sisters are listening." A week later, Traoré dropped another video, this time even more defiant. "We are not asking you to leave your countries," he said. "We are asking you to reconnect with your roots. See Africa not as a grave, but as a garden." As the first diaspora congress in Ouagadougou neared, the movement grew. Flights from New York, Los Angeles, London, and Kingston filled up. Stories emerged of young people quitting their jobs, selling their belongings, and applying for visas they never thought they'd need. A viral video showed 82-year-old Mama Ruth standing at JFK Airport, her cane in one hand and her suitcase in the other. "I may be old," she said, "but I need to touch that soil before I go." In the Bronx, a grassroots movement called Back to Build began, where black youth started studying African history, economics, and farming. Yet not everyone was supportive. Some feared a mass exodus, while others dismissed it as naive. But the fire had been lit. By December, Ouagadougou was buzzing with excitement. The Diaspora Congress opened with a drumbeat. No fireworks, no celebrities, just elders pouring libations and whispering to ancestors. Ibrahim Traoré, without bodyguards, walked into the arena. The crowd stood silent, reverent. Then 1,000 voices rose in song. "This is not a political gathering," Traoré began. "This is a healing ceremony disguised as a summit." He introduced the Samkopa Pact, a document outlining the rights and responsibilities of diasporans who wished to integrate into the new Africa. Land would be leased, not sold. Businesses would be co-owned with local communities. Schools would teach both local languages and diaspora history. He called for the formation of the Black Global Assembly, a Pan-African body for diaspora leaders and African revolutionaries to meet and grow, free from Western influence. The Congress inspired a flurry of actions. Dr. Asha Walker, a civil rights lawyer, flew from Detroit to Burkina Faso to help rewrite laws to protect young black men in America. Jamaican reggae artist Kojo Bantu pledged to build a cultural studio in Bobo Dioulasso. Brazilian laborers signed on to help build eco-friendly villages. And black-owned tech companies from Lagos, Nairobi, and Atlanta signed a deal to create an encrypted communication network, one beyond European surveillance. But not everyone welcomed the change. The whispers of dissent grew. The French intelligence agencies escalated their efforts, smearing Traoré's name. Photoshopped images, fake leaks, and rumors of terrorist ties flooded the media. Western outlets fueled the fire, but Traoré stood firm, responding calmly. They fear us because we are no longer begging, we are building. In Sankara Hills, a rural village that had been nothing more than dry bushland just 2 years ago, change was happening. Red earth roads, solar streetlights, local clay houses, and a Malcolm Center for mothers and children stood as symbols of the revolution. In the Ubuntu Academy, children learned not only about Africa's history, but about the global African struggle. The movement had begun. And Africa, its people, its diaspora, its future, was finally rising.